I'd like to take a moment to share with you a good conversation that I had with a new client. It's my hope that what I shared with her is a help to you the way it was to her. She is 32 years old. She is a single mom of one son. She's an actress, a model, and a realtor. She came to me and she said, "Doc, I'm coming to you against the advice of my friends." I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "Well, my friends also watch your content and said, girl, you shouldn't talk to him because he's going to get you together and it's not going to be nice." I said, "Why did they say that?" And it's probably true, but why did they say that? She said, "Because Doc, I've been cheated on 3 times in the last 5 years." I said, "What type of men do you normally date?" She said, "Well, if I'm being honest with you, I typically have dated very successful men. I've dated a few athletes, a few entertainers, musicians. I've dated people who tend to do very well with them for themselves, very attractive men," which was no surprise. She's a very attractive woman. I said, "Where do you meet these people?" She said, "I meet them a little bit of everywhere. I meet them when I'm out. I meet them on social media. They obviously, might hit me up in my DMs." She said, "And it just doesn't work." And I said, "Okay, that's fair." I said, "But what are you doing different?" She said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "If dating that type of man is not working for you, what are you doing different?" She said, "I guess I'm not doing anything different." I said, "Do you position yourself to try to date a different type of guy?" She said, "I would like to date a different type of guy." She said, "But Doc, I do want him to be attractive. I do want him to have money. I do want him to be, have a good lifestyle so that I can have a good lifestyle should we decide to be together and get married or whatever." She said, "So that stuff matters to me." I said, "What matters more? Does it matter more that he's successful or how he looks?" She said, "That's a good question." I said, "I want an honest answer." She said, "I think it matters more how he looks, but he's got to be successful." I said, "That's a very honest answer." And I said, a lot of people in your position, women in your position or men that are interested in women who might be very attractive, if they're being honest, being very honest, probably share the same sentiments. I said, "Tell me about your history of relationships and what a good, healthy relationship looks like to you." She said, "Well, I didn't grow up with my father. My father left my mom at the age of 2. And my mom and I are, still have a great relationship." But she said the perfect relationship she's ever seen is her grandfather and her grandma. I said, "Tell me about it." She said, "Well, they've been married just over 50 years." And said her grandfather is the model citizen. He really takes care of her grandmother and talks to her kindly, and he's gentle with her and he looks after her. And she worked. And so it wasn't really necessarily a financial thing, but when she retired, she still didn't need for anything, and he retired and they still didn't need for anything. And he cares for her just the way a man should care for a woman. And frankly, Doc, I want a man like my grandfather. I said, "Let me ask you a question, and don't take offense to this." I said, "Was your grandfather a model?" She sat back in the chair, kind of put her head down and looked up and said, "No, sir." I said, "What did he do for a living?" She said, "He worked in a factory." I said, "Really?" I said, "What other kind of traits or things did he do? Was that the only job he had?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "What other kinds of traits did he have?" She said, "Well, he was obviously a hard worker. He retired from the mill. He was a hard worker, and he rarely missed a day of work. He was very responsible with his money. He wasn't very flashy at all." I said, "Interesting." I said, "You want a man like your grandfather, right?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I want to say 2 things to you that I want you to consider, and these are going to be hard for you to perhaps digest, but this is something that I see with both men and women. All right. So I want to be very clear with you, though we're talking about you as a woman right now." I said, "Number one, first, you're leading with the wrong thing." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Man, we can't be surprised when we attract into our lives the very thing that we put on display." She actually started to tear up. And I said, "How was that offensive to you?" She said, "Because it's almost like I'm being made to feel like I'm being criticized for being a pretty or a beautiful woman." I said, "You're not being criticized for being a beautiful woman." I said, "But the reality is when all you display is your beauty and lead with that, why are we shocked when we only address or attract men who only want us for that?" I said, "How can we be surprised?" I said, "Ma'am, have you ever seen a sign?" She said, "What kind of sign?" I said, "Any kind of sign, a street sign, a house sign. Have you ever seen a sign?" She said, "I have." I said, "What's the purpose of the sign?" She said, "It is to tell you what you're getting ready to get, where you're going, what direction you're headed into." I said, "So ma'am, let me ask you this. Why do we put so much focus on this public display of appearance and be shocked when we meet people who show up and only like us for what they see. I said, man, this is the plight of today, dating today, modern dating, especially if you're an attractive man or an attractive woman. And it's funny how a lot of attractive men and attractive women position themselves to start to get older and realize that the dating market isn't working for them, not because they're not attractive. The dating market, in part, isn't working for them because they're putting up a sign that only promotes their beauty and then get shocked when they meet men or women who only like them for their beauty and they don't even value that. Thus, you've been cheated on 3 times. She then started to boo-hoo cry. I let her cry. She said, Doc, my friend said you were going to be hard on me. I said, I'm not being hard. I'm being honest. And I said, that's part of the problem. Because a lot of times when people possess beauty, sometimes we're not surrounded by people who are honest enough to be honest with us. I said, ma'am, your beauty is great, but it's not going to be enough for a healed man. It's not. I said, that leads me to the second thing that I want you to consider. I said, number 2, I need you to stop going after your type and start entertaining your values. Did you not just say you wanted a man like your grandfather? She said, yes, sir. I said, was your grandfather a model? She said, no, sir. I said, let me just even take this honesty a step further. I said, if you were to take your grandfather and line him up with folks like Denzel Washington or anybody else you think is attractive, do you think people would pick out your grandfather? Have you seen younger pictures of him? She started laughing in the tears and said, Doc, you don't have to talk about my granddaddy like that. I said, I'm not talking about him. I said, but you've seen earlier pictures, right? She said, I have. I said, was he Denzel Washington fine when he was young? She started laughing and said, no, sir. I said, ma'am, understand this. Besides money and physical appearance, you're going to have to figure out what you desire in a man. I said, do you know this? She said, I do. She said, I want a man that's nice. I want a man that's smart. I want a man that talks to me nice. I want a man that's faithful. I said, well, obviously faithful because you've been cheated on 3 times in the last 5 years. I said, but ma'am, you have yet to say to me in all of these things you really desire in a man that you wanted a man that's attractive, correct? She said, yes. I said, how many of your exes were ugly? She said, none. I said, have you thought about dating somebody who maybe is not as attractive as who you've dated in the past, but maybe checks the boxes and all of those values? She said, I think about it all the time. I said, you're going to have to shift from thinking about it to doing something different. She then interrupted me and took the conversation in an interesting way. She said, Doc, let me ask you a question. I said, sure. She said, you're telling me you're not attracted to attractive women? I said, I'm very attracted to attractive women. There's nothing wrong with attractive women. I said, but as a healed man, I'm not impressed with an attractive woman. And I said, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but as a healed man, an attractive woman doesn't really impress me much and frankly can't do much for me other than what she can do for most men. I said, the reality is attractive women that are not healed or do not have a focus on values are for fun and not the future. She literally laughed like that and put her head down. She said, oh, I see. I said, listen, ma'am, I would take someone who looks like you, but who acts like my mama, who acts like a healed woman. I said, ma'am, you need to start looking for someone who may have some attraction to them. I said, because the reality is if you find a healed man, he may not look like Denzel Washington. He may not make a ton of money. She mentioned earlier in the call that she loves to travel. She wants a man who does well so that she can travel regularly. I said, that lifestyle stuff is great. I said, but ma'am, you need to look for love first. You need to look for love in a healed person first, because a healed person who checks the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial box might not look like Denzel Washington. I said, but baby, if he's healed, you can take him to the mall and dress him up. I said, if he's healed, you can teach him how to carry himself and how to fix himself up. I said, we look for superficial things in people and get shocked when we end up getting superficial results. I said, ma'am, you better be careful. I said, because the very nerds and less attractive people that you're looking over today, you're going to look up 5 years from now, and those are going to be the ones you want. But by then, they're going to be already taken. I said, ma'am, you've got to focus on love and not lifestyle if you want to find your type. Sweet woman, and really excited about the progress she's already making with me in the couple of minutes meetings that we've had. I hope this made sense. If it did, type church in the comments with 3 R's. And then remember, you've got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you. What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb. Listen, I've been dying to make this announcement for a very long time now, and I'm pleased to say that Inspire Nation has officially launched. Yes, we finally got a Facebook and YouTube community group where we're going to have exclusive content, exclusive shorts, exclusive discussion prompts, where we're going to engage with other people literally around the world who are on the same healing journey that we're on. I need you to go find these pages right now on Facebook and YouTube. Inspire Nation, follow the page, join the group, introduce yourself, and be prepared to link up with literally thousands of people around the world who are on the same healing journey, who are looking for the same resources, and who want to also be surrounded with other like-minded individuals who are growing in the same direction as you are. I'm so excited about this because it's the beginning of some great things I can't talk about right now. Listen, you got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you.